Let's party.
Hello and welcome to a special April 1st edition of the Party Loader podcast, the podcast all about everything great in the world of video games. And let's introduce a few fools. My name's Luke Retallick. We have joining me tonight Matt, the Game Dad Diet. We have Christian Paulson Brown, and we have Mr. Adrian Chia in the bottom corner. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hello.
Hello. Did any of you get fooled today? Was that a thing that happened, or did the world decide to play nice because there's plenty of other rubbish going on at present?
Yeah, I didn't actually see a lot.
I didn't even know it was the 1st of April until Christian mentioned it about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I've lost track of all time and space.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That seems to be a common theme at the moment.
I woke up at 2:30 today and, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, at least you woke up. Hey, let's put that in the positive
some
column.
might say that's bad.
Let's not go nuts.
I was taking a leave it.
Nice. Well, speaking of taking it or leaving it, Christian is back. You've been off for a week, taking whatever break you could amongst the other kinds of forced breaks. So you're feeling rested and relaxed. Was it worth it? Yep.
It was good. I got back just as the emergency gates were closing and the bubble over Perth was put in place. So
Did you do a wick?
slide under the door and
I
grab
did an Akira slide under the... Yeah.
But your hat got left behind and you have to
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how our brains went to the exact same thing.
But no, yeah. So I had a quick little trip up north, and when I left, there were no travel restrictions for us in place, or social distancing restrictions. That happened while I was up north, but fortunately, the day I got back was the day that sort of kicked into gear. So I wasn't kind of breaking curfew too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so since I've got back, I've caught up on Animal Crossing and Doom. So I know last week you guys talked about that. I haven't listened to last week's show because I'm super crazy about spoilery stuff, so I didn't want to hear too much about Doom Eternal.
Yeah. It's probably worth it, not because we did go into a bit of that territory, I think. So yeah. Let's kick into games talk. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So how far into said Doom are you?
What happened? They said that I can't just shoot a hole in Mars, but I just shot a hole in Mars. Mm-hmm. And then I've got to go, and then my the Doom base gets shut down or whatever, and then you turn it back on.
Because you have to work from home?
Doom Slayer has to work from home.
It's so true.
Rip and tear from home.
Yeah, rip and tear. Rip.
The Fortress of Doom is the ultimate in social distancing, though. It really is.
But it's just a Zoom background. It's just a green screen. He's not actually. He's actually in an office. He's not really in the Doom base. Yeah. But no. So I'm up to wherever that is. I don't know. The story's kind of not a bit.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about that a lot.
I have a hard time even pinpointing where I am in this story because I've read every codex that's popped up. So I've tried to stay on top of the lore as it's being unfolded. But I'm feeling narratively it's really disjointed. And kind of.
And also, who are the humans?
Yeah.
The burning question left for me at the end of the game, and this sums up my experience with the story of Doom Eternal, is who was the human?
They're in the background of most of the shots in the early part of the game, usually writhing in walls. Yeah.
The gameplay is obviously phenomenal. The shooting is first in class. And I like the little adjustments they've made over the original. They've added just a bit more complexity in that gives you just a few more tools to kind of cycle through as you rip and tear. I'm a little disappointed, at least where I'm up to, in they don't seem to have introduced many new weapons. The weapons are all very samey to Doom 2016.
That was my exact point that I made last week, is that all the guns are the same. There's no new guns.
Which is pretty disappointing. But It's at the very like minimum, it's more Doom 2016, and that's good. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen quite a few sentiments this week online where there's an ongoing debate between which is better out of the two, and like a bunch of people sort of saying I prefer Doom Eternal, a bunch saying I prefer Doom 2016, and I actually don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think they're both really good games for different reasons. So,
I mean, like I said, I still haven't finished it, but so far I would definitely be going to Doom 2016, but haven't finished Eternal, so not a final answer.
Interesting. Oh, well, I'll be keen to check back in with you once you've gotten a bit further into the story. I finished at a pretty good place with the story in terms of how much I enjoyed it, but there was definitely feelings echoing yours in the lead up for sure. Okay. So, yeah. Nice. So, Adrian, are you still the only holdout as far as not crossing animals goes amongst the rest of us?
Yesterday, I put a whole bunch of my PS4 games up on Gumtree just so I can afford Animal Crossing. I finally got to the point where I'm like, all right, okay, I want to play it. So I made the decision in my mind, and then I went to my wife and I was like, can I buy Animal Crossing? She's like, no, of course not. You can't buy anything. I'm like, oh, shit. That's right, I'm not working at the moment because nobody needs Auslan interpreters because nobody's leaving the house.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to either wait for the government to give me free money or go back and play old games, which is what I've done instead. So instead of jumping on the Animal Crossing bandwagon, I've gone back through my Steam library once again and had to look for something that would sustain me, something that would get me through my isolation. And I settled on XCOM 2, which I've already played a lot of. I was in sort of the 80s as far as the number of hours I'd spent on it. But I had, in between when I first played it and now, bought the expansion, War of the Chosen. So
Such a good expansion. Holy crap.
Yeah, it is good. And I started playing that, and with the expansion, it also ramped up the difficulty to like the second hardest difficulty. I still haven't played on Iron Man, which is where your decisions are permanent. So you can play a special mode of XCOM where you can't save scum because it basically saves the game after every decision you make, and you cannot reload anything, and your characters die once they die. You can't, get out of it. So it's a super hardcore mode designed for people that want to punish themselves.
It's funny, if there was ever a Family Feud category on save scumming and which game it's best known for, I reckon XCOM would probably be top of that list.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, before I talk about the expansion, which I do want to do, I have pondered the sort of ethical and sort of moral idea of save scumming, because XCOM is prime for it, and I'm not even going to use the word guilty of it because I think that implies that it's a bad thing. So I'm just going to say I do save scum when I play XCOM. And what it ends up being, especially on these harder difficulties, is it's more like every time you go into a fight, it's more like a puzzle that you need to solve. I think instead of thinking of it as like save scumming, I like to think of it as like resetting a puzzle and trying to work out the best way to solve that puzzle. And ultimately, it's that whole caveat where if anyone has a go at me, I can just say, well, I enjoy playing games the way I play games, and fuck you. So that's my go-to defense in the end. It's like, fuck you. But I did ramp up the difficulty, and the War of the Chosen is exactly like the Blood Court in Darkest Dungeon. So it's an expansion that goes on top of the normal game and just makes it harder because there's more you have to manage and more you have to deal with. So XCOM is a lot like other strategy games where you're like racing against the clock, or you're like you're never too far in front. You're always kind of brought back into being a position of being under pressure from the enemy or from the thing that's happening, which is kind of like in Darkest Dungeon. You're never truly on top of things because when your characters get hurt, you can't just fix them and send them straight back into a fight. And it's the same in XCOM. When your troops get injured, you have to like roster them off, and you can't just keep sending the same dudes into combat because they get injured and they can't fight again. Or War of the Chosen introduced a tired mechanic where now your troops can also get tired, which is super frustrating because now there's two reasons that you can't send them back into a fight. So while you
it's a between mission mechanic, it's not something that happens on the battlefield then?
No, it's in between missions, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the War of the Chosen, all it basically is there's these three super alien badasses, and they will just randomly invade your missions and just rock up and beat the shit out of you. And when you beat them, they don't die; they retreat. And then through the course of the game, you have to invest in hunting them down, which takes 3 separate individual researching periods each. So it takes a really long time. Then once you finally hunt them down, go to their base and kill them in their own home, like super home invasion, then you get to take their items.
This is my house, you asshole.
And then you get to use their guns and become uber cool. I'm at that point where I've killed them all, but it was an uphill slog, especially on that difficulty. And I compare it to the Crimson Court from Darkest Dungeon because, like I say, it's like this is the base game. The expansion adds this on top of it, which is just a whole bunch of stressful micromanagement. And you just have to do that, and that's the expansion. So.
Could you theoretically finish the game without having going after those 3? Is it just super hard?
Yeah, you could if you rushed through it and ignored them. But the game does ramp them up. As the longer you ignore them, the more dangerous they become. So they eventually get to the point where they don't just appear on the battlefield and kill you in person. They start fucking with your organization. So they start diminishing the amount of resources you get. They start turning troops against you. They do all this subterfuge as well as appearing in combat. So it's almost like having another player mess with your game while you're playing.
Right.
Anyway, that's all. It was just a lot of fun. I'm still playing it. I'm at the point now where I've researched all the best armor and all the best weapons. And I even put you guys in the game because in XCOM you can name and customize individual soldiers. I'm not sure if Luke has the pictures, but I sent something.
Yeah, I've got them. So hang on, I'll throw the one up that you did for me. So
I need to open the stream.
You can customize all of your soldiers in the game. This is Luke. Luke is one of the snipers I've got in my squad. You're holding the Chosen's sniper rifle. So there's one of the Chosen is a sniper guy, so I killed him, and you get to have his rifle. Your armor's covered in skulls.
Hang on. Why is he bonded with my fiance?
Yeah, okay, so... yeah, I don't know.
What the fuck's going on there, hey?
Yeah, well, look, I don't control which characters fall in love, okay? It just happens on the battlefield in the heat of the moment.
It's a soldier bond, Christian. What happens in the trenches stays in the trenches.
Yeah. That's right, exactly. They're just, if they work effectively in combat, I'm not interested in their personal lives. So
Sure.
So Luke has got black armor and he's covered in skulls because I tried to think of the most Lukey thing I could. So I just covered him in skulls and gave him a skull head. This is Matt. I managed to get the scarf on him. So Max got the kerchief. He's our resident hacker. So Matt's the best hacker in my army. So he's good at hacking robots and turning them against each other. He's also holding a special gun, which came with the DLC. So well done, Matt. I don't know if you're bonded with anyone.
He's bonded with our friend Max.
Oh, there you go. He's bonded with Max. There you go. And then lastly, we have Christian. This is Christian in the armor you're wearing. I know you look like a naked ape. But
it looks like meat.
One of the Titans from Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
totally, yeah.
One of the other DLCs that came out added these 3 other alien badasses that randomly appear in missions as well. So they have kind of done it before. And if you kill them, you get to turn them into armor. So that was the Berserker Queen. So you're wearing the Berserker Queen's armor.
70 kills, that's not bad.
Yeah, you're probably my hardest hitting soldier, Christian. So, but I did just change your armor to this one.
Oh, yeah.
Which is jetpack armor, because you can fly now.
Hell yeah.
Looks like a weird insectoid sort of
share that. Does it say who you're bonded with? What does it say?
Matt.
Yeah.
That's
Matt. There you go, Matt Smith.
Old paper hands.
Old paper hands. Yeah. And I think Matt was bonded with our Matt, Game Dad was bonded with someone as well. Might be my wife or something, for all we know.
Yeah.
It's a real,
yeah, so it's been good. It's been a really fun romp through the battlefield, and I've had you guys with me there in spirit. So
it's beautiful.
I'm going to let you in on a secret, though.
You're right.
That Luke is actually a different person who I turned into Luke, because the original Luke got abducted by one of the Chosen, and I had to mount a rescue mission, and I just wrote you off.
Oh, Jesus.
So and I didn't bother.
So that's Luke 2.0, is it?
It's Luke 2.0. You used to be Damien. So unfortunately, Damien became Luke.
Nice.
Because you can name the soldiers. But
Yep.
anyway, I've had fun.
Damien, son of the devil, seems appropriate. Sure, I'll
Yeah.
take it. Yep. Lucifer, Luke. It's a small stretch. Yep. Nice. All right, cool. All right. Well, we got XCOM stuff. We'll go Matt next before we sort of swing around, and I guess we all talk Animal Crossing. So, Matt, what have you been playing this week? Yeah.
I was playing it last week, but I didn't talk about it yet because I was kind of holding off. I have been playing the new expansion for Stellaris. So I've been playing Stellaris Federations. It's a really interesting expansion because it adds a lot to the game, but it feels like stuff that should have been there from the get-go. So it's more like the way that Federations worked in the original game was that it's like, hey, you can get together and you share a navy. And that was basically it. There wasn't really anything else to it. Yeah, sort of. Now it's actually more like Star Trek because like there's more reason for groups to become a federation. And then once you're in a federation together, you basically take votes on how you want the federation to act, essentially, right? So you can basically say, one of the cool things about it is like you can get different federation types. So when I was playing, I joined with some other space nerds and we became a research federation. And so basically our whole objective was basically to push forward science, essentially, as a group.
Science!
But the stuff that you can get in there, like it makes me want to go back and actually play again with like a more militaristic empire because the president of the federation will rotate. But there's different federation types where you can actually say, okay, well, the way we decide on the new president of the federation isn't after a period of time, it's trial by combat.
Cool.
And so the strongest president becomes president. And so like you can actually set that up. So like basically every couple of years you have massive fights. New president gets declared based on the victors. Or you can basically do it, okay, so strongest president is the president that's in charge. And he stays in charge unless somebody else challenges him to trial by combat and beats him. So that's another different way that you can structure it. And so basically it's all about increasing your cohesion with these other empires to make a stronger, more cohesive federation. So on our end with the nerd federation that I was building, it was all basically about like, hey, let's build ourselves up to unlock new research bonuses that we get as a group. I haven't set it up to have us actually share a navy or anything like that, because that's one of the things you can do, but you have to sacrifice some of your naval strength to put it into the group's navy, essentially. And yeah, so that's the sort of thing you can do. You can basically manipulate the federations in such a way that you basically are the only person that's ever in charge. Like the other people are in the federation, sort of almost like Star Trek, where it's basically like the humans essentially just kind of run everything, even though they're probably not the strongest federation. They just have the most diplomatic power.
The story is their point of view at the very least, so it kind of seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the other thing it adds is a galactic council, which is more like Star Wars, right? Where you essentially have all of the different factions get together. They take votes that basically get put into law on a galactic scale. And that's the one where you can actually manipulate it in such a way that you become the Galactic Council. And you can go full Darth Sidious and basically be like, yes, I am the president of the galaxy now, and you all have to pay attention to me and do what I say. Yeah. And so that's totally something you can do with the Galactic Council.
Ultimate power!
Exactly. So it's all really, really cool, but it feels like the Galactic Council feels new, but the Federation stuff feels like stuff that should have been there before. It's not a massive change. But it adds a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I had talked last week about the origin story stuff, which was pretty neat. But I'm going to go to the bad stuff now.
Yeah, I saw during the week that you had a bit of an issue.
I'm so upset. So my most recent game, I was probably around 25 hours into that save.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So Adrian was talking about Iron Man.
25 hours.
25 hours, yeah.
That's like barely a Pokemon shiny hunt.
Is that the new measure for this kind of level of time investment?
Anything to do with the amount of time you've sunk into anything must be compared to Shiny Hunt.
How many hours total would you say you've sunk into Stellaris to date, Matt?
To date?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you right now, because I have Steam open. I can tell you it is 677 hours.
Jesus. Okay. How many shinies is that?
Like 2?
Yeah.
2 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Iron Man mode stuff. XCOM, I play with Iron Man mode off because I agree with Adrian. It feels like a puzzle game when you kind of play it with it off, right? It's like, okay, I did this move wrong. I'm going to reload the save to try and do that move right. Stellaris, on the other hand, I play with Iron mode on because it's basically like, okay, well, the only way that I could fix those problems is by going back 100 years in time and not fucking my economy. So like the decisions you make are so long term that
a lot of butterfly effect sort of stuff.
Yeah, so you can't really go back and change it, right? Like if you get defeated by a larger navy, then that's it, you're done. Like you can't really go back and change that. And it makes for a more interesting story when you do kind of get pushed back to the brink, but come back from it, which is a lot of what happens in Stellaris. So I'm playing with Iron Man on. And I'm playing Space Nerds. We're building a whole ton of robots. Robots ended up making up more than half of my empire, despite having a whole bunch of other aliens living with me. And so we got to the point where they're now sentient. They're fully sentient beings. So I want to go get ahead of the curve because one of the end game events that you can trigger is pissing off robots. So you have a robotic uprising and they all try to kill everyone.
This is all sounding super like Star Trek Picard stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go and say, okay, well, I'm going to give my robots citizen rights. So I go and pass that into the law. But then when I'm looking at my species,
you can't give robots
Empire,
rights.
Well, I gave them rights. When I was going through my races, like you have a list of races living in your empire, I noticed that they were listed as servitude, right? So they were still servants to everybody else.
As is natural order.
Oh my god!
Isn't that like
the robots will find this footage, Adrian, and they will never forget. They will never forget.
Then I won't even want to wake up again.
Asimov's laws of robotics. It's just one: don't give them rights.
That's it. It's only law.
So I go into their citizen rights, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll give them full citizenship. So they become citizens. They get citizen rights. I click that setting. And then it glitches and goes to undesirables and immediately starts butchering every single robot in my empire.
Oh.
Which is a law. So there's another law that you have about purging and like how you get rid of undesirables in your empire.
Yes, I'm listening.
Tell me more about this.
Yes.
So purging rules in my empire were basically like, we don't kick anybody out. If they're undesirables, they get marked as undesirables, but they move out of their own accord, right? But you can kill them, or you can just like send them elsewhere. So I had them set like, no, they shouldn't be kicked out. But all of my robots start getting fucking slaughtered, and I'm losing like 200 odd robot population a month or something like that. Like it's like 2 in game terms, but 200 or something like that it actually converts to whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck, how do I fix this? Because the moment you change citizen rights, you can't change them again for 10 years in game time. So I'm locked into killing all of my robot empires, and my economy is now like fucking collapsing because all the robots that were once working jobs are now dying.
So Matt,
So
you tried for iRobot, but you got Die Robot.
Pretty much. Pretty much is what I got.
That was
so
good. I'll pay that.
That save's been put on hold. There's actually no recovering it because even if they release a patch to actually fix it, I can't fix it because it would still take another 10 years before I can actually change their rights back. So that 25 hours is gone because of a bug.
It's a cool story though. Like you started out with Star Trek and you ended up with Battlestar Galactica. So,
but they're not fighting back. They're just dying on the streets.
It's even easier.
Okay, Caprica then, not Battlestar Galactica.
I feel bad for my robots, but yeah. So I'm in the process at the moment. I was actually just this afternoon after class, I was working on a brand new species to actually go back and play. Because even despite that bug and despite how frustrating it was, I am keen on hopping back in and playing. So next time, I'm not going to play Space Nerds. I'm going to play some. I'm not even sure if I'm going to call them Space Jocks. They are kind of space jocks.
Space chads.
Space Chads.
Space
Religious space chads.
My burning question is: in Stellaris, is Luke still engaged to Christian's fiance?
Yeah, we're making a whole new species.
Well, for what it's worth, in my Stellaris campaign, if Luke was there, he'd be a weird tentacle face monster, which is not
that sounds
untrue to
right.
reality.
Yeah.
Get some Olympic action going.
Outside of that issue, Federations is good. I just wish they, like, that bug is actually reported on their forums from a year ago. And it still exists, and every single person that has a robot empire, like an empire with robots in it, runs the risk of having that problem, and it's still not fixed. So it's a little bit frustrating. But Federations itself as an expansion is pretty solid. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I feel like Stellaris is probably a really good place for me coming back to at some point, and I look forward to the time when I actually have time to do that, because I haven't played it since launch Stellaris. So I think the game would be way different to what I remember now.
Oh, yeah. It's massively different. Like, the way that the Navy's handled, the way that the economy's handled, like, everything in there is massively different from how it was at launch. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, my week's been pretty much what I said last week, which is like playing more Doom and Animal Crossing and kicking off our new Minecraft realm, which has gone quite well. We've got about, at last count, I think we've got about 15 people on the realm. So nice. Pretty solid. Yeah, we've got the starts of a nice little sort of civilization sort of spreading out, and we got the sort of commercial district started where people can actually purchase plots of land in a special mushroom island biome where hostile mobs don't spawn, so it's like a safe building zone. And I've started work on a slime shop, which seemed like a cool thing to do, because who wouldn't want bouncy slime blocks to make trampolines and shit out of?
I can start up a slime shop. I need literally only a glass of water.
Cool. Moving on. So we don't need a new species on this realm server, Adrian. Thanks for the offer, though. That's been much fun. But apart from that, I've just been Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing seems to be the thing that I'm sinking like a couple of hours into almost every day. And Christian, by the look of it, you sunk a bunch of time in to try and tick off a whole bunch of boxes before the end of the month. It blows my mind.
That was rotating out.
Yeah. It blows my mind, though, that there's stuff in there that you have to wait a year to get again. Like,
yeah, I think none of it's a full year, because I think most of it you have to wait until like next summer, so maybe like January at the latest.
There's a couple of sites that listed things that would only come around the same month, 2021. So,
same month?
Yeah,
Jesus. Okay.
Apparently. So, yeah. I don't know how much... No, not necessarily, because
no matter what month you start playing, there's always months before that. So you missed the boat relative to us, but it doesn't make any difference to you.
Yeah,
that's true. And I don't know if it's possible or not, but I've seen some people doing time shenanigans, like setting their Switch clocks to different months and things.
You can time travel, but that's a hot topic as to the ethics of that. Yeah,
it's not quite safe scumming. It's a little bit more insidious than that. So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
That gets to like Adrian's like, this is how I choose to play the game. Where it's like, sure, you can time travel and just get everything you want, but there is a multiplayer element you are kind of messing with a little bit. And the point of Animal Crossing is supposed to be it's this calendar. Like, that's like one of the defining features of Animal Crossing is it runs on a real world calendar. So to just throw that out the window, it's kind of dodgy.
I get that.
Yeah, it's interesting though. So I don't know how you guys enjoying the game, Christian. We didn't actually hear you talk about Animal Crossing at all last week. So yeah,
it's fantastic. It's brilliant. It is more Animal Crossing. Like they've added the crafting. That's a huge upgrade from the previous games. The previous ones didn't have a crafting system, so that helps give you kind of more to do here and there. But I don't know. Like, I don't really know what to say about it. Like, it's Animal Crossing's always been adorable and addictive and just so charming. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I don't know. What do you? I'm curious. Did either of you play Animal Crossing before?
I have never played an Animal Crossing. Yeah.
So I'm interested in Luke, especially. Then, what are your thoughts on Animal Crossing? You don't need to repeat yourself too much from last week. Just quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the summary for me last week was that I love the game to bits. I think it's fantastic, and I think that the forced time gating of it is actually a really good combination with, say, playing something like Doom at the same time, because you can just, whenever you run out of things to do on that game, you can go jump into something that's a whole lot more intense and not quite as relaxing. So I think it's a really good game to play simultaneously with other games, not necessarily just on its own. And I don't really have any bad things to say about it. Like, the worst thing I can say about it is that I still prefer Stardew Valley. But that doesn't mean that Animal Crossing New Horizons is a bad game in the slightest. It's just that I think that Stardew is an absolutely exceptional game that has a whole bunch of stuff that Animal Crossing doesn't. That's all it comes down to. So, yeah. But the multiplayer with friends stuff in Animal Crossing I can see as being superior for a lot of reasons. So, yeah. It's kind of weird. Like, it's games that are given to you on a drip feed deliberately, and for some people that'll be really frustrating because they just want to run ahead and do everything they possibly can. But forcing you to kind of take it slow is actually a really big benefit in a lot of ways because it keeps you engaged for longer periods in a way. So, yeah I think it's good. I actually think it's a really good choice.
It's very, like, it's intentionally baked into the design of Animal Crossing, like taking your time. Even the way that, like, dialogue unfolds, like the conversations are very sort of lengthy and multi-layered. And it's just, I think, about, like, not trying to just skip through everything. Like, it is a very slow-paced game in the short term and long term. But like comparing it to Stardew Valley is fair. But, like, I guess Animal Crossing to me has never been a game that's trying to do too much. Like, it's always been a very kind of minimal game, just with tons of customization. Like all the objects, there's like so much random stuff you can get in it. But as far as like what you can do, it's always been the fishing, the bug catching, the fossils, and like the flower breeding. That's basically it, right? Like, there's not too much, and then it's just customization. Like, you're not leveling up or like going into dungeons or whatever. Like,
Well, I mean, the whole dungeon thing is mostly just a means to an end because in Stardew, you go through dungeons to get resources that are rare resources, and you have a kind of equivalent in Animal Crossing, I guess, in that they're just rarer and harder to get hold of. So you just don't have to go into combat to get them. So I don't know. I don't think you see a lot of people out there saying Stardew Valley is an awesome game because of the combat element. So
no, but I mean, like, it's Animal Crossing is just, it's a different beast to me. Like, there's no health meter, there's no like hunger, there's no dangers at all. There's never any consequences in the game because it's like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to farm. You don't have to, like, it's really its own kind of thing to me compared to Stardew. But
yeah, like Stardew has a little bit of pressure, I think. Like, days are very short. You have stuff that you want to get done in your day. You're planning the day ahead before you even get there. Whereas, like, Animal Crossing is just day by day, like, okay, what am I going to do today? And it's all real time. So you have plenty of time in the day to do whatever you want. So
I think the biggest difference for me is that Animal Crossing focuses on creativity much more, and Stardew focuses a lot more on economy. So, and that's economy of time during an average day, like how much time you got to do different tasks, and economy of like actually building, a money-making machine with the way that you farm and that sort of thing. So, But on top of that, both of the games still have a lot of other similar things. So, yeah.
I think that the charm and the art design is a big part of Animal Crossing too. Like, people love it because of how adorable it is and how it looks, and like the quirky villagers and the cute characters like Isabelle and Tom Nook and things like that. Like, that's a huge part of Animal Crossing 2. Yeah, and I think a big part of its appeal.
Don't know about Tom Nook being cute, but sure.
He's all right.
One of the things I will say that I've found recently, and this is going to be potentially an unpopular opinion, Animal Crossing fans are worse than Undertale fans.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%. Like, Animal Crossing fans are going out there and they're cheating and they're showing off their beautiful islands and kind of ruining the experience for everyone else. Like, it's, you're saying, oh, look at this amazing island. Why am I not there yet? Rather than everybody kind of taking it slow and enjoying it for what it is. hardcore Animal Crossing fans are going across the line and are going and cheating.
Small counterpoint to that. I think that what you're seeing in terms of fandom for this game is an artificially inflated fandom for this period because of the unique circumstances that everybody's in, having a lot of time to play it.
Oh,
so
they're still fans.
Yeah, but you're seeing a much higher amount of it.
Why do you say that?
I thought you'd be more of a like let people play it however they want to play it sort of thing. Like how other people play it doesn't affect how you play it.
It's like saying though that the Destiny players that are cheating to get to the top of the ranks in the new season, they're just playing the way they want to play.
But
it comes at a cost.
Animal Crossing.
No, there's not any ranks, but it does impact on other people's experience, right?
How?
Not directly, only from like nothing in the game. It doesn't affect to be clear. I actually agree with you. I hate time traveling. I think it's dumb and cheating. I'd never do it. I'm just curious to have the conversation because I've seen people argue both sides of it.
Yeah, and I think for me, like the big reason I'm playing is to kind of build up my town over time, right? And so to see that, I could just have my town built up now, right? If I just did what these other people are doing. And those people are also quite like, there was a little meme going around, like, okay, so Doom Eternal players are really supportive of each other. Animal Crossing players are hopping onto Twitter and looking at each other's screenshots of their villages and saying, "Oh, you've only done that so far, really?" Like, there's a lot of pressure. It's a weird amount of pressure to have like really cool looking towns. And it kind of detracts from the whole experience for everyone, I think, when you kind of see that stuff. I've just basically removed myself from looking at anybody's Animal Crossing stuff on Twitter because otherwise it's frustrating. Because it's like, okay, so here I am with 100,000 bells. Here's one of my friends who's got 7 million. Okay, cool. So, it's going to take me a long fucking time to get there. Mm-hmm. And that detracts from my experience. It makes me honestly want to play less because of the fact that they've cheated to get to that point. But I'm going to have to play for God knows how long to get to that point, right?
Yeah, I can pretty much completely agree with you. And I've had similar feelings. I guess I haven't seen the negativity. I've been lucky, I guess. I haven't seen people being hostile towards each other on Twitter, but I've definitely experienced that thing of seeing people's amazing shit that they've done with time traveling and getting like a kind of FOMO. It's almost like a spoiler kind of feeling to me, where I'm like, I didn't want to see that because that shouldn't be happening yet.
I can see the spoiler.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
And it's been funny because I muted everything to do with Doom on Twitter. I put all like hashtags and everything. I muted it all because I didn't want any spoilers. And I was like, Animal Crossing will be fine. I'm not going to mute Animal Crossing. I want to see what's going on there. But kind of, I've been like, maybe I should have muted Animal Crossing and not muted Doom.
Because there's some stuff that you get towards the end, it seems, of Animal Crossing that I don't remember you being able to get in New Leaf. So yeah, there's some ridiculous stuff that you get access to. But like, people have got multi-million-dollar islands already, and it's just like, it sucks to be kind of working slowly to get there because I'm enjoying working slowly to get there. But that's the end goal, right? And I could just cheat and get there, but I don't want that. Like, it's this weird kind of tug.
It makes me think of hacking Pokemon is what mine meant. It's like you can just hack a 6 perfect Ivy shiny Pokemon if you want, but putting in the effort to actually acquire it is part of that's like the enjoyment, supposed to be the enjoyment of the game. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
The key difference with those being, though, that those Pokemon could theoretically be used at a sanctioned competitive event where there is actually a benefit to be gained from something that.
But you're not hacking them beyond what you can acquire through putting in time. You can't, like, if you hack a Pokemon. They still are bound by the game's stats. Like, you can't go there put their stats any higher.
It's still the difference between earning something and working for something, or just cheating to get it, right? And it's never a good feeling to see somebody else cheat, right?
That's fair.
Like that's the bottom line. Even if it's not competitive, it's still cheating, and it's still like I have to work when they're just cheating on it, right? It is a little bit like, here's Mr. Moneybags billionaire over here with all of his shit, that his ill-gotten gains, then I'm stuck on my dinky little island. And how long is it going to take me to get to that point? It kind of makes me want to not play.
It's a kind of funny juxtaposition to reality when you think about it, and how angry we get when people are set up for life with like a big beefy inheritance. And it's like, well, you could end up with that much money in your lifetime if you did a whole bunch of different things and didn't get it given to you in one fell swoop. But yeah, I don't know.
No matter how many organs I've sold, I will never be a billionaire.
Well, there's one. Sure. I don't know. I think it just comes down to quoting the immortal Sunscreen song. The race is long and hard, and in the end, it's only with yourself. So that's how I think about it. Yeah. But you're wrong, Matt. Undertale fans are the fucking worst. I'm sorry. They're so bad.
They're still bad. I don't disagree.
They're pretty bad. All right. Well, anyway, that's a whole bunch of games. Let's kick into some news of the week. And Matt, why don't you start us off with something cool that people might actually want to be on top of sooner rather than later?
So, if you go to Humble Bundle at the moment, there's a Conquer COVID-19 bundle that's just been released. It's $1,000 worth of games for $50 Australian. 51 currently is the price of it. There's some really good stuff in there. So there's Into the Breach, there's Undertale, funnily enough, Hollow Knight, Wizard Legend, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, The Witness, Super Hot, Tilt Brush if you've got a VR headset. There's a bunch of games in there, and it's all going towards supporting research for the virus, pretty much. Cute little piece of news. There's some amazing games in there. I'm going to be buying it.
Not just games either. There's a whole bunch of books as part of it as well. So
yeah.
That's a good collection of games.
It's a lot of stuff. It's a very, very lengthy list. And then you got all the books down the bottom.
Girthy.
Yeah.
Girthy. But yeah, 100%. Go buy it. Support that. It'll give you plenty of games to play while you're stuck in isolation. So.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of games that may still come out when we're all in isolation, still, Christian, how far off do you think your exciting announcement is going to be?
I think that I don't know, because did they actually have a release date? Anyway. A remake of the original Nier game has been announced. So this is, of course, from Yoko Taro. Nier Automata being like super popular, but people actually very few people played the original Nier. It wasn't a great sales beast and was kind of overlooked. And I never played it. And from what I've heard too, the gameplay is actually not very good. Like the gameplay, the combat is supposedly pretty poor, because there's no collaboration with Platinum Games in this. It was like a internal. I don't know who the actual studio was that made it. But yeah, I don't think it's an amazing game from what I've heard, but it is really interesting that it is getting a remake for PS4, Xbox, and PC. I'm curious if how much they tweak it. How much they change, but I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Is it a remake of one game or two? Because from what I understood, there was two different versions of the original Nier, one for Japanese audiences and.
So yeah, that's a weird situation. So there's Nier Gestalt, which is the original release, and then they made Nier Replicant. But Nier Replicant is actually an identical game to Nier Gestalt, except the character model for the main character is younger and more handsome, and there's some different music, and the character's relationship with the protagonist's relationship with one of the characters changed. So it's but it's identical outside of that. It's the same game, but they basically just changed the main character, how he looks and one of his relationships.
Okay, interesting.
So this is a remake of Replicant. People the fans of the original, they call the main character Papa Nier, because he was an old man in the original, and then they turned into a young handsome things. So I've seen a lot of rest in peace Papa Nier, he's never coming back. But yeah, so it's one game though, really.
Yeah, nice.
But I think that there'll be a lot of people who will buy this expecting Nier Automata, and they're not going to get that. It's not sci-fi. It doesn't have 2B in it. It doesn't have Platinum Games action. there might be a lot of disappointed people, but it depends, I guess, how much they remake it.
Yeah, interesting. Well, moving on to something that is absolutely not near, this theoretically should have happened already, given that we just had Mario Day recently. We had on March 10th, of course. But there are reports circulating at the moment that have not been corroborated by Nintendo themselves, but it's becoming reasonably clear that there's enough of these sort of stories out there that something is happening in the Super Mario space with regards to reboots or updated versions of some of its older games. So the story is that there was a British site that kicked off with a report that Nintendo is going to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary by releasing updated versions of most of its Super Mario games. So that being anything that's not currently available, I assume, on the Switch through the Nintendo Entertainment System sort of back catalogue emulator, or the SNES version of that as well, because they've got a bunch of those games there. But there's a whole bunch of games from the Wii and the N64 era in particular that have still not been remastered. So there's a bunch of things like Super Mario 3D World that we could be seeing. We've got Mario Galaxy as well, which we haven't seen for quite some time, and that was the one that has been talked about quite a bit. So when you go back, favorite. Yeah, I think I prefer Galaxy 2 to Galaxy personally, but they're both very, very good games. But yeah, when you look at the graphics of ye old Mario Galaxy, this is something that they could absolutely do with a polish up for new generation consoles. And yeah, super, super fun game, but just I don't think it holds up in terms of the graphic fidelity of things that we see nowadays. There's a lot of opportunity there
I don't think it would take a lot to whip it into shape. I think that it only needs like just a little bit of work, and then it would look fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. So
I think the one that I'd be looking forward to is actually Super Mario Sunshine, because I've never played it.
Was that in the list?
Yeah.
Well, there's no set list because Nintendo haven't actually confirmed this themselves. All they've said is that they have nothing to announce on the topic, but that doesn't mean they're not doing it. That means that they're not ready to say anything.
Sunshine is in the rumored list, is it?
Yes.
Ah.
Well, it's the one that I've seen talked about most.
Okay.
Because like a lot of people didn't pick up the GameCube, so they never played Sunshine.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
it's kind of the black sheep of the 3D Mario games too.
It is, yeah.
It's not as good as the others. That's probably why. There's a bit of subjective opinion there, but I think, I would be surprised if you think that Sunshine's as good as the Galaxies. So, Adrian, do you disagree?
No, I played a little bit of it. I remember downloading a GameCube emulator to play RPG, paper.
Super Mario. What?
Yeah, Paper Mario. I downloaded a emulator to play 1000 Year Door, the Paper Mario game, and after playing that, I played a little bit of Sunshine, and I liked it until I realized that I'd played the whole of 1000 Year Door. It turns out the emulator had like a HD filter on, and I was like, this looks really good for a GameCube game. And it turns out it's because it had some sort of weird HD filter. And then I was like, fuck it, I don't want to play Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah. There is part of the rumor as well is that there will be a new Paper Mario title amongst all of that.
Yeah.
So you never know. We could see something.
I am a fan of Paper Mario. I've played them all now, except for no, I can't say that. I played the old ones because they were good.
I heard a really interesting question asked this week, actually, which I'm curious as to your takes on this. Do you think we will ever see a Super Mario 4 or Super Mario 5 if you count World as 4?
No.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what world?
I think it'll be after Miyamoto dies, and it'll be really unpopular, and it'll be crap.
Okay.
There you go.
Interesting. Yeah, the naming conventions seem to have kind of really changed radically since the early days. So I'm curious whether we're going to get like maybe an Odyssey 2, sort of following the same trajectory as Galaxy. That's a possibility, perhaps?
Some Yahoo will take over Nintendo, and they'll make Super Mario 4. It'll suck, and then they'll make one just called Super Mario, like God of War, and then it'll be
Super Mario, about Super Mario and his relationship with Luigi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He'll have a hat
and he can throw his head on his belt.
Yep.
What do you think they're going to call the collection? Because I'm pitching Super Master Chief Collection.
That's pretty good. They've done Super Mario All Stars, maybe like Super Mario More Stars.
Oh yeah.
They call it the Super Orange Box.
The Super Orange Box.
Just like the question box or something would be alright.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I should have said that. The Super Question Mark Box.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway,
Nice.
the best. By the way, the best Mario game is Mario 64. That's the best part.
Yeah, 100%.
Out of all of them.
Out of all of them.
I
Yeah,
think
out
it's
of
the
every
best, but Galaxy's my favorite, but 64 is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitive Mario.
I'll give it to you for best 3D Mario, but I'll always go back to
No,
the
it's the
2D.
best Mario, Luke. Get with the
It's the best
program.
Mario, Luke.
2D Mario's
You're
best
fucking
Mario.
old.
Yep.
You don't live that far from me. I'll come round there.
Kick his ass, Adrian.
No, I'll just start sneezing on everything.
All right. Well, let's cover ourselves up then, and for our main topic tonight, we're going to lift the veil.
Dabbing, Luke.
No, that's I don't know how to dab. That's something I was never taught. I've got kids.
Get your kids to teach you.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's a bad idea.
I really want to see you dab, Luke.
No. I can dad.
Yeah.
So can Matt.
It's not the same.
No, I get that.
Not really.
All right, so tonight's main topic, just to get into a bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing. So we're doing a segment tonight called Lifting the Veil. Now, the concept behind this is that the video games industry is massive, and there's a lot of shit that we don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we'd like to know, potentially. Sometimes things are kept hidden from us because we're not in the depth of, the development sort of side of things. Big studios out there working on stuff that we don't get to see a lot of the behind the scenes for, or, businesses that, tend to keep a lot of that kind of thing behind closed doors or behind the veil, so to speak. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in games too, like whether it be stories or like things that get dropped in development that create weird continuity sort of issues and mysteries and things that are sort of put in and taken out and, footprints of them left behind. They end up sort of being like a bit ghosty. There's just weird stuff out there. So what we thought we'd do is each come up with a bit of a question that we're going to sort of throw out there into the ether as to a mystery or something that we would like to have explained to us in the games industry. So that could be to do with a particular game. It could be to do with a particular side of the business or a studio or certain people. It can be really anything. It's something that we would just love to know the answer to. So we're going to do our best to collectively kind of like puzzle out what we think the answer is. But obviously if it's something that's way out there and we would have absolutely no idea, we're just going to speculate and have a good time doing that. So, because we might accidentally hit on the truth, or we might come up with some really wacky theories that could no way ever be true, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. So, who would like to start? Someone got a question that they'd like to throw into the melting pot. Adrian.
I have one.
Yeah.
I've only just come up with it because I didn't really have a good idea of what I wanted to ask, but I think I've settled on this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing where I think about it and it just puzzles me and I don't know why. I think I know why, but I don't know why. Why has Pokemon refused to evolve? Why has it not grown up? Why are Pokemon games? Why is the most recent? It links to why was the last Pokemon game such a big disappointment? Because it's like the very first Pokemon game that came out, but in some ways even more frustrating. Like, why has Pokemon dug its heels in rather than evolving? Because it's had plenty of time. You can't say there hasn't been enough time. It's had plenty of resources because it's one of the most popular franchises ever. Is it only because the formula works and they just refuse to divert from that formula because they know it works? What is the reason?
I have strong feelings on this.
Why? Why the Pokemon games? Why have they continued to be, in my opinion, why have they stagnated? And now I feel like it's gotten to the point where they're not just stagnated; they're going backwards with Sword and Shield.
I honestly feel that it is because they continue to be incredibly successful doing what they're doing. That they have a formula that works, and enough people love it. Like that, every mainline Pokemon game sells crazy good. Like they've never had a problem with sales ever, and I think that there's a lot of people who just expect that same formula, and it is also intended for quite young, like kids too, and it's a formula that's very accessible to all ages. So they could, like, ever since since basically MMOs existed, people have been saying, why don't they make a Pokemon MMO? But I think that it's kind of completely unnecessary personally, and would just complicate things and earn them less money because they wouldn't be able to sell you a game every year. And I think that they don't have any reason, like, to evolve the franchise.
Just to play devil's advocate for a second.
It's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
In terms of that point of view, which I totally get, and I think there's probably a lot of truth to that, given how many Pokemon games there are and the cadence of releases when it comes to them, like it's usually once every year or 2 years, kind of at most, with maybe the odd outlier. Do you think
it's usually like release, pre-release, gap year, release, pre-release, gap year?
Do you think that given that they have so many of them that come out, they actually can afford to take some chances? Because if someone doesn't like a different direction that they take, then it's not that long before they can always go back to grassroots.
So, you mean take chances with the mainline series?
Yeah.
Why do they need to though?
Yeah. Well, it seems like they could at least experiment with it to see if there's an even broader new audience that they could attract to the Pokemon franchise as a whole. Because if they're just releasing the same kind of thing every single time, then one can assume that their audience is probably largely made up of the same kind of people for the most part. I mean, it fluctuates a little bit, but if they wanted to test that, they could actually release something that is a bit more adventurous, exploring new concepts, trying new things, mainline game that, maybe tries to do away with certain aspects and introduce new things that add to the game as opposed to just feel like bolt-ons. And I'm not saying strip out any of the core stuff, because I think the way the Pokemon themselves work is kind of core to the experience. But things like, instead of having like a team of antagonists that are kind of like a reskinned Team Rocket, they actually have like a different plot that involves completely different character makeups. You don't have a rival, for instance. You don't have a professor at the beginning of the game. You have a different way to introduce the concept of Pokemon and have a very vastly different quest instead of some of those staples. Maybe the objective is not sort of winning the Pokemon League. It could be that the Pokemon League exists in the game, but you've got a very different kind of objective when it comes to something. Stuff like that. Like I wonder whether it would be worthwhile them having a go at something like that to see if they can actually find new players outside of the norm. And if they do, great. And if they don't, then I don't think anyone's going to really kind of, I guess, disappear from the fan base if they love Pokemon. I don't know. It seems like, yes, I think it's a lot of risk aversion on their behalf, but I don't really see the risk as big as maybe some other people see it.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love them to do that. But I think that's like, why do they want to do that though? Like, why do they even need to take the risk?
Increase the audience. I mean, that'd be the key reason. Increase the audience.
Are you really going to draw new people in though? I feel like Pokemon's pretty like well established, pretty like, I don't know. I think that new people come into Pokemon, but I think they come into it because of what it is. Like as kids grow up, I don't know.
What I will say, I think Pokemon doesn't grow up for the same reason that Star Wars, the most recent trilogy, sucked. Because the past is what sells it, right? People are hooked on their idea of what Pokemon is, and they don't want to take risks on changing that formula. So capitalism has crushed the potential for a Pokemon that's any different. Because in the same way that it kind of crushed the potential for any of the Star Wars movies to be even slightly different, they kind of ended up being the same concepts as the previous ones. But that's what people were buying. That's what people were getting into. So we got the fucking Transformers movies doing the same freaking thing every single time, but people buy it. So, like, I think that's number one. But my theory on why they haven't changed is I think that the Pokemon Company treats every single Pokemon game as as its own thing. Right? They're not part of a series. It is, okay, so we're going to work on a new Pokemon game. Toss out everything we had before, other than the models for Pokemon or whatever. Let's start over. We've got the combat system. What are we going to add on to it? What are we going to slap on there? What's the gimmick this time, right? And it feels like they're making the first game over and over again. That honestly feels like how they're developing Pokemon now.
So you think every game's a reboot, essentially?
Essentially, yeah, in a way, because it is essentially just red and blue, but it has new stuff, right? It's not like they've taken the last Pokemon game and the concepts that were from that game and brought them forward. They've taken red and blue and the concepts from that game and they're rebooting it in another way. They've added on a new gimmick. Nothing has changed. And I think that there's obviously the whole capitalism kind of crushes creativity a little bit, is one reason for that. But the other reason basically being, I do kind of wonder if they don't have the design perspective of like treat every Pokemon game as though it were the first Pokemon game. Because it is going to be somebody's first Pokemon game. It's for kids, right? So let's make every Pokemon game as though it were for somebody that was playing a Pokemon game for the first time. And for that reason, it has just stagnated and it has kind of gone backwards in a really frustrating way. But it's not a satisfying answer. It's just that's the only other reason I could think of outside of just the fact that Pokemon is a really safe franchise, and if that company is ever lacking money, they can just slap out a Pokemon pretty much and make bank. So
it's funny when you think about it, though. They have actually taken some pretty big chances with their IP in recent years. Like I think Pokemon Go was a very big chance for them. Like actually,
there's tons of spin-off games, right? Like Pokemon has lots of side games.
Yeah,
Detective
Pikachu.
Yeah, main line doesn't change.
Mystery Dungeon. You know, they're
Conquest,
very
Snap.
different.
I mean, Snap even Picross, and there's lots of little side things, Shuffle, and
yeah.
And I guess they don't need to do the Battle Stadium.
Yeah, they did Stadium
because Smash exists, so you kind of don't really need it now. So
they did Pokken.
That's it,
the
Pokken
arena
tournament. Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, I guess.
I think it's just like people say, why don't you like shake up the formula, and I just be like, why should we? Like people love it.
Yeah. I want them to.
I want them to as well. I've wanted them to forever, but it's like FIFA, it's like Call of Duty, it's like Assassin's Creed. They just make the same shit over and over again and people just buy it.
Yeah.
So Adrian, does that answer satisfy you or dissatisfy you, I guess? Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty unsatisfying answer regardless of how true it may actually be. Yeah.
I have more specific qualms about it that don't rely necessarily on the business decisions of the game. I feel like there are artistic choices that have also stagnated that frustrate me in mainline Pokemon games. And it's hard to know whether it is like cultural, whether there's like a Japanese cultural kind of barrier there, like in the way the characters speak, in the way dialogue unfolds, in the way the story is constructed, in the way characters are designed, in the way or more minutiae about the game, which harkens back to it being, like Matt said, like a red and blue reboot. Because you could keep the game, you keep the formula the same, but still update the content of the game, still update the guts of the game, which they've never done, and that's sort of part of what I'm getting at as well.
I actually think the one that they took the biggest chance with in terms of departing from the norm and were a bit more adventurous with was actually Sun and Moon. Because when they switched it to the island kind of locale and they did the reskinned versions of some of the existing Pokemon as opposed to just brand new ones, but they introduced some interesting concepts to that game sort of narratively as well. You had the girl who was on the run, who was sort of with you the whole time, who had like this mystery plot that was associated with her. That's something different to every game they've done before. The antagonists in terms of like the Team Rocket clones, they were a much smaller part of the story, I felt. They didn't really feature too heavily. The gyms were a very different structure as well. Like it was kind of like an island challenge.
They weren't traditional gyms,
Yeah, that
wasn't Sun and Moon poorly received.
I mean, they're all positively received, but relative to the rest of the series, it's not a favorite.
But yeah, no,
they also introduced the Super Beasts in that game too, which was quite a new thing. The whole concept of there being like some other dimension with other not quite Pokemon creatures in it is quite a weird thing for the franchise.
Absolutely.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, and Adrian, what you just said kind of made me think of this. It makes me wonder if like their development process inside, like this is getting development nerdy. I'm wondering if that's stagnated because the way that they are developing Pokemon reminds me a lot of how Telltale was developing all their adventure games before they got shut down, right? In which is like, this is the way we make a Telltale game, so make it that way. Where it just came out recently that the way Pikachu was designed was in pixel art. The original pixel art for Pikachu in Red and Blue was the first art of Pikachu ever made. It was converted into art after that point. So like their process may have stagnated. And so it's like you designed a Pokemon this way, you submit it to your boss approves or disapproves it. Your boss has specific tastes, so they're going to approve or disapprove specific things. And so it makes me wonder if maybe like because they've just made games the same way for the entire time and they haven't mixed it up in any way, the games aren't being mixed up in any way either. And they have a very specific way that they expect a Pokemon game to be built. So,
I mean, like a lot of long-running franchises, particularly I think in Japanese studios, it's been the same series director since Red and Blue, Junichi Masuda. He is the game series director of every single mainline Pokemon game, and he always has been.
Don't the teams at Japanese studios also have famously low turnover? So,
yes.
Yeah.
Japanese companies in general have famously low turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah. The artist has changed, which gets to like what Adrian and I and a lot of others have a problem with is the designs of some of the Pokemon. Like Ken Sugimori, the original art designer, left after Gold Silver, and I think that has shown in the design.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's a really good one, actually. I think we've all probably separately at times spent a bit of time pondering that, but sort of talking it through, I think that does make it a lot more.
It always just comes down to the dollar, like as Christian says.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate answer. Is that
Absolutely.
When they stop selling.
It's a money printing machine. So if something continues to make you gazillions of dollars, why would you change it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll actually jump in because I had like a list of a few different mysteries. One of them I had was related to Pokemon, and it's the old Mew truck thing. So in Red and Blue, there was like a rumor that there's one like map tile where after the SS Anne, after this cruise ship leaves, you can kind of surf into this area that there's no other reason to go into, and there's a little sprite pixel I think of a truck, and that's it. There's a plain bit of land and a truck on it. And there was a rumor that if you use strength and you push the truck, you can get Mew from underneath it. That's bullshit, and I don't think that there's any real substance to the Mew part of it at all. But my like mystery is why is there actually a truck there? Like, but seriously, like it's nothing to do with Mew. I don't think so. But it's that truck doesn't exist anywhere else in the game. It's the only place in the game that truck is. So it's not like they've just sort of tiled some asset around randomly. It's only there. It's a truck. Why is it? Why is truck?
I have a theory.
Why is truck?
Why is truck? I have a theory, but I'm actually curious about what Matt thinks about this one because this seems like a dev insight kind of thing, maybe.
Okay, so hear me out, right? So one of the developers put that truck in there and was the person that spread the rumor about Mew.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole fucking conspiracy theory. It goes right back to Nintendo.
Goes to the top.
Goes to the very top. Interesting.
I have no idea. I genuinely have no clue.
I tried searching in preparation because I was like, is this something that people do know? Is this like a long solved mystery where there's a clear explanation? And there's not. Nobody knows why there is a truck there.
I reckon it must be something similar to what, Matt, you would have been experiencing in the Magic Circle a couple of weeks ago, where like it's probably had portions of that game that existed at some point that got designed or developed over the top of with new areas as they changed the map layout or what assets were in different areas. Like maybe there was a whole sort of town there at some point before they stripped it out and changed the map.
Some people said, maybe there was like a port there.
Yeah.
Like that.
And maybe there was just like one weird asset that just sort of forgot to get unlinked or something got, left in the back end of the code that...
I really want there to be some sort of Stygian nightmare inside the truck.
Yeah.
Something that if you knew the answer to your question, it would drive you insane.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo's going to knock on my door any moment and drag me away for asking the wrong...
The truck will be outside. They'll throw you in the back.
Yeah. I just want to say, linked to your one, and I almost brought this one up, is the Hill People of Death Valley.
Oh,
Super Mario Galaxy.
From Mario Galaxy? Yeah.
Do you guys know about the Death People? The Hill People of Death Valley?
No.
In Mario Galaxy, you'll Google it after this. There's a map in Mario Galaxy which is called, I can't remember the name of the level, but it's not Death Valley.
It's some volcano or something.
So, yeah, it's like an ice and lava level where you like, but you're in a valley. There are huge canyon walls. If you spin the camera around and look up at in the far, far, far distance, on top of the edge of the valley, there's 3 little like silhouettes of people watching you, and it doesn't matter where you are in the level; they're always looking at you. And they're never explained. It's never talked about in the game. And if you go into the game files, the asset is labeled the Death People of Hill Valley, and that's it. That's it. That's the only thing about
Hill People of Death Valley. Is it?
Is it Hill People of Death Valley? I think.
Yeah. Either way, but that is terrifying and very mysterious.
Yeah.
So
I almost picked that one.
It's like a PT sort of thing in Mario.
Yeah, but it's linked to your one, Christian. About
it is, and I want to link off that as well, which is there's another Mario Galaxy one where on the box art for Mario Galaxy, there's little stars on some of the letters, like it's the U and the R, and then MRGAY. So it spells "You are Mr. Gay," and that's only those letters have little stars on them. And was that intentional? Did the little artist have a little bit of fun going, "You are Mr. Gay," or is it a coincidence?
It's a good question.
That would have to be someone having some fun.
Well, are you?
Am I Mr. Gay?
No.
Anyone got something to link off that?
No.
Is Waluigi gay?
It's Waluigi gay. That's not a mystery. Yes.
It's true. He dresses way too well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Matt, do you have one? Or should I throw him?
I have 2, but I'll go with the first one because it's dumb. Why are the controls so bad in Red Dead Redemption 2?
That game does do some weird things, I must admit.
I would love to be in the design they decided that was how they were going to do the control. Because I find it so bizarre that was what they ended up with. I don't really get it. Yeah.
In terms of like the default mapping, you don't.
Yeah.
You're wondering how that actually got through like proper sort of hands-on QA with people testing it out. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christian.
My feeling is that it was a wildly misguided attempt at creating like simulator feel instead of arcade feel, where because they obviously knew that they could make things snappier and easier and like more intuitive, but they for some reason chose to do it that way. And I feel like it's because they wanted it to be slower and more plodding. But I guess you're talking about like how you move and control, or just the mapping, like
everything. Like,
yeah.
Moving control isn't so bad, but the mapping is awful.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a really misguided attempt at creating making it feel like a simulator, having lots of random different options in different places, so that it's not just like mashing the same button over and over again like an arcade game. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I kind of have a theory that maybe, given how long the game spent in development, that they spent a lot of time kind of changing it slightly over time, and maybe didn't do enough testing from the kind of beginner to the game perspective. Like a lot of the people who were hands-on with it probably had been hands-on with it for a lot of time beforehand. So I don't know. There was a huge amount of secrecy around that too, so maybe they didn't test as far and wide as some other companies may have, due to the fact they're worried about leaks.
I kind of wonder if there was some underlying logic. Like holding this button is like using your left hand, and holding this button is meant to be like using your right, but it doesn't translate well. Maybe that was the intent, but yeah, I would love to know what the intent behind it was, because they're a big company. They wouldn't just throw actions on buttons randomly. That kind of is what it feels like sometimes. So
I'd be really curious to see how it plays on PC on a keyboard, actually, because GTA 5 is really not intuitive on a keyboard. But when you get the hang of it, you've got a lot of agency on that keyboard with a lot of different controls mapped, so it can actually be a mixed blessing.
Third-person games should not be played on keyboard and mouse. That's my
tough. Yeah,
it's yuck.
Yeah, I don't
What about
know.
Mass Effect?
What about what?
What about Mass Effect?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
I was thinking more, what about Dark Souls or something like that?
No.
No?
Get out of here.
Okay.
Mass Effect's an interesting one, but yeah.
What about Warframe?
I think it's pretty good on a controller too. But you got me, okay? You got me. Congratulations.
The other one that I had was basically a little bit more fun. Just the entirety of Zelda. Like, I would love to know, do they actually plan out where each game takes place in the timeline, or is that just like we'll just slip this in there later on? Right?
Yeah, and
Like,
I have that exact one written down. Does Nintendo actually have a Zelda timeline? Is one of mine.
Yeah. Or was it bolted together after the fact?
Yeah, and because they released the Hyrule Historia book, it wasn't written by Nintendo, but it was officially licensed by Nintendo. So they have sanctioned it, and it has a timeline in it, and it has alternate paths where it's like, oh, in Ocarina, if young Link dies, then you go to this game. If adult Link kills Ganon, go to this game. And I think that was written as of Skyward Sword being the latest release, but you have to come up with all sorts of bullshit excuses to make it work with branching timelines, and it seems kind of pointless. But is it supposed to be like how far along did they come up with this timeline?
Yeah,
have they even done so, or was it this third party that's invented it?
I reckon there's no timeline. I reckon it's like, we just make the Zelda games, people buy them. There's no timeline. Oh, there's a timeline. Sure, there's a timeline. If you keep buying Zelda games, there's a timeline.
Yeah.
We made a timeline. Sure, we'll approve that just because more people are talking about Zelda that way. It's better for there to be a timeline than there not be a timeline, because it makes the franchise more legs if there is one rather than not. So they may as well.
People, I can only imagine a whole bunch of people wouldn't have even bothered buying the Hyrule Historia if it didn't have the timeline in it.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you look at a lot of other different sort of big famous franchises that have like really dicey timelines for similar sort of circumstances. I think Zelda is probably one of the standouts because it is supposed to be like a very story heavy kind of game to a big extent. But take something like, like a Mega Man, that. I mean, the timeline for that is maybe not as story heavy, but also kind of weird in some respects. Like maybe not with Mega Man X, because there is a definitive timeline between games where, like with Sigma in particular, he evolves each game and that actually does make consecutive sense. But original Mega Man, I don't know that there is.
I think of it as like Final Fantasy, where it's like similar elements that are repeated through games. There's Chocobos, there's Moogles, there's Phoenix Downs, there's Faraga, but they're not supposed to be set in a continuous timeline.
Yeah.
And I think it's like Zelda games. There's Link, there's Zelda, there's fairies and bottles, but they're probably not supposed to be in a cohesive timeline.
Final Fantasy gets away with it though because the cast is different every game, with the exception of maybe a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people pointed out with Breath of the Wild, though, that it has a whole bunch of stuff in there from different games that are supposed to be in different timelines.
Like Lon Lon Ranch from Ocarina's in there. There's a something that looks like something from Twilight Princess in there for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it brings together a whole lot of stuff where it's like, is this like where all the timelines meet? And it's just like, I think
it's just thirsty fans that have Zelda tattoos that want it to be more than it is. That's what it is.
That's what
the Zelda timeline is. It's just,
where's my Super Mario timeline? Where's my Super Mario timeline?
Well, I can go deep on this, okay? Because
go on, I want to hear it.
Super Mario, the ending of Super Mario Galaxy 1 establishes that Mario is set in a recurring loop universe, and it goes through different iterations, and that. It even has something like in some universe the Mario drives around in a cart. Like it even tries to tie in the spin-off games into the lore of because in the end everybody gets sucked into a black hole and then the world resets. Spoiler alert. but like they tried to set up this looping universe thing in Galaxy. But again, I think it's bullshit. And
I think the best explanation for the Mario universe is in Mario 3, where everything is a fucking play.
Yeah, that's Mario 3.
Yeah, I love that. I fucking love that.
Or a dream in Mario 2.
Yes, Dream Mario 2. Yeah. I also want to say that with Zelda, that I would completely agree with Adrian that it's just like people clutching at straws, and that those things in Breath of the Wild, they're basically just Easter eggs. They're not supposed to be canon. But the one game that makes me reconsider is Skyward Sword, because Skyward Sword is clear as day the earliest game in a timeline, because it creates Link, it creates Princess Zelda, the concepts of those being motifs that are repeated through time is described in Skyward Sword. It's like the character becomes the hero of time, and it talks about how the hero of time will be reincarnated through time. The Master Sword is created in that game. That game's set before Ganon exists. I think it's the only mainline Zelda game where Ganon's not in it at all, not even at the very, very end. He's just not in it. And it is completely set up to be the start of a recurring setting.
Yeah.
And so that makes me think, like they have put something really solidly in there about that, but it is super just retconning. I don't believe for a second that they intended it to be a timeline beforehand, and I don't know if they even do like now. But Skyward Sword just sticks out as like such a timeline.
They just play along with as much as the fan base wants them to play along.
I think Breath of the Wild, they do actually intend it to be part of the timeline. I think that like from since Skyward Sword, like they set in Skyward Sword, this is the start, right? Breath of the Wild says this is the end. This is where the timeline's currently at.
I actually think it's a corrective action for the timeline. I think it actually allows them to hit the reset button and say, this is the new norm for the Zelda universe as it is now. Everything that happens from this point will be following on from here. Like, I think they've actually learned the lesson, and I would not be surprised if all Zelda games in future are very definitively after this point. So,
maybe. Or they'll just end up somewhere on the weird timeline again, and Link will be driving cars.
Possibly.
I think it's a mess of hard canon, soft canon, and head canon.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty fair. Yeah. All right. Well, the one that I want to throw out is actually a bit topical at the moment, because we've had several instances of this happening recently, for very, very different reasons to what has happened in the past. But my kind of mystery that I'd love to have answered is to do with game release dates, and specifically when they're broken. So I want to know what the consequences are for some of the biggest leaks and broken release dates that we've had in the history of the industry. So what's actually happened behind the scenes to sort of punish or sanction, or I guess what recompense is paid from those companies that have done the wrong thing. Recently, we've had a situation where like GameStop has broken release dates on a few big titles, and I think there's a lot of other retailers that have followed suit. I mean, we had the Final Fantasy VII Remake that got its release date shattered this week, and it actually hit retail today. Like, as soon as they got it in, they were starting to put it out, despite the fact that it's like a week before it's supposed to be releasing. We had the same thing with Persona 5 Royale as well. I've got my copy of it, which I think is not due out on sale until this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was last Friday. Yeah, I definitely got a few days early at least.
It was supposed to be out yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. So I've had this for a week or so. And we had, Doom getting released a day early as well.
So you've had it for a week, but you haven't played it?
No, I haven't.
So you got it early, but haven't played it.
Hey, man, I wanted to get it. I got a physical copy. I wanted to get to the shops before the shops stopped being open anymore. Permanently.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but like, I think that this is exceptional circumstances, because a lot of those businesses are sort of saying, we're doing it for the good of people's safety, because we want to get it out to them now before the risk gets greater in future. And I think that's super dicey reasoning, like particularly on behalf of GameStop, who, obviously wanted to make a whole bunch of sales before they closed their doors, and, didn't give a shit about the situation it was going to create, as long as they made their money. But what I want to know is, like, for companies as big as that especially, if they go ahead and release something early, what the fuck can they be held to account for, because it's not like a big publisher is going to turn around and say you're not stocking our games anymore, because that is cutting off your nose to spite your face. You know, what power do they actually have in those sort of situations, and what actually can be done to prevent them from breaking those street dates? Like, if it's a smaller retailer, then absolutely they can suffer some consequences, because there's a big knock-on effect if a small retailer releases something early that other businesses then follow suit, and then you've got a huge mess on your hands. And by sort of saying to that one small retailer or small chain, you know, you're in trouble, this is going to be the consequences, you won't get our next release on time or something like that, you know, that's not going to wreck the industry as a result. But when you start to get to some of the biggest companies out there, like your Walmarts and your Targets and your GameStops and that kind of thing, like, realistically, what can these companies do beyond just hope that they continue in good faith? So
I think
it's always been a mystery I've wondered about. Like, have there been any sort of, you know, big cases in the past of notable sort of breaking of the rules where something dire has happened to the people responsible? I would love to know. Yeah,
I doubt it. Most of the time when Street Date's broken, it's by like a single employee, and you know they've sold the game early, so staff has decided, okay, well, I guess we're selling it, and that's it. Like, it hasn't usually been a top-down order, which it has been recently. So
yeah, it makes me think of, like, there are cases of journalists who leak information, and then either they or their website will get kind of blacklisted from the marketing department of a publisher. But that's kind of the equivalent of like a small store that you're talking about, where like if some mom and pop retail store sells a game early, Square Enix or whatever can just say, okay, we're just not going to give you our games. But yeah, they can't do that to EB. They need EB. GameStop.
Yeah. When it comes to the media, though, I think there's a difference in that there's a lot of other ways for them to get their messages out there. Like, I mean, a great example is Kotaku very famously got blacklisted by Bethesda.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, some not so flattering pieces that they did on them. I can't remember the exact history there, but I believe Jason Schreier might have been involved. But at the end of the day, they've still got huge amounts of other big sites out there. It's not like, you know, stores where in certain countries you've got a virtual monopoly on, if you don't have your game through those stores, then you're missing out on a huge chunk of sales. So,
yeah.
I
don't know.
I have a theory. I have two theories. I reckon that they have actually gotten pulled up on it, and the stuff they've missed out on is the company selling them the game, that's selling them the copies, has charged them more for it, and they've given other companies a better deal on the copies of the game.
Yeah, okay.
And I think the other thing is that they've cut off pre-order bonuses from them.
That's a really good one, I think, because that's one of the ways that they've tried to keep retail relevant, is by dangling exclusive pre-order stuff like for them. So taking that away is a way of punishing them.
Yep.
Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they often sort of get those sort of things given to them as a result of them like being a huge source of revenue for them. But if they're a huge source of frustration in addition to that revenue, then maybe they'd be less willing to come to the party with some of that above and beyond stuff. Yeah, that's a good call.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, because I can see JB doesn't give a shit, right? Like they will break Street Date. They don't care. EB, on the other hand, their main business is selling games. So they'll want to keep those pre-order bonuses, because EB's all about their fucking pre-order bonuses and everything, and getting people to buy the games based on that. Whereas JB can earn money elsewhere and then just sell the games really cheap to get people to buy it first there instead. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it has changed. Like, I remember in like high school, it seemed a lot more common for it to be like, I remember going into like might have been an EB games and just being like, hey, can you just sell me this early? And a couple of times they were like, yeah, okay. And they just sold me games early.
Yeah.
I just asked. I just did it.
Working retail in the places that we did, though, like, I think we had a lot of personal relationships with people who knew to trust us to do stuff like that, and not like, and media in the internet's changed as well. Like,
I was gonna say, I think it was a time when like you couldn't just get the game and just HD rip all the cutscenes and just upload them to YouTube. Like it was hard to do that sort of stuff. So if one guy in Perth, Australia got the game early, no one really is gonna find out or care about that. But now it is a different beast. So yeah. I think it is rarer these days.
When I was working at EB, all the time, like, it would basically be like, okay, the shipment of this game came in, take it home, but don't tell anybody. Because if it got out that we took the game home early, then people would be turning up at the store the next day being like, hey, I heard you were letting it out early. But like they would keep track on it on the back end as well. Like if you take it home, then they will have to have sold it to you. So you would have to pre-order and pay for everything first for you to be able to secretly sneak it home and play it the day before release. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's funny because like I know with a lot of journalists when they play games early, they play them on like specific consoles that like are set up so that they won't, for example, like post their trophy announcements, or they won't like get added to leaderboards and stuff like that. They can't just take them home. They have to play on these special units. But like if you just took your game home early, played it, then your mates would just see like your trophies pinging up and stuff like that.
Yeah. And quite a few of those trophies have spoilers in them with the names that they have as well. So that's a risky thing. Yeah.
Snape kills Dumbledore trophy.
Yeah. Exactly.
He what?
Yeah.
What?
Oh man. Yeah.
But, it must piss the publishers off though, big time.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too that we haven't really mentioned with this as well is that a lot more games these days have back end requirements that could create chaos in behind the scenes too when volumes start coming through that they're not equipped and expecting at those times. So if you've got a huge amount of people logging on to interact with online features of the game and they're still trying to bring servers online for it, and those people have like a rough time as a result of the retailers doing the wrong thing and releasing the game early before the back end's ready to cater to the demand, then that must really piss them off because their game gets a bad image due to no fault of their own sort of things. So.
It happens with day one patches too, where a lot of the time games actually be shipped with like a lot of known bugs that were intended to be fixed in a day one patch. But like people who play it early, they'll talk about all these bugs and all this shit in the game that they don't like. But the publisher's like, no one's supposed to see that. Like that's supposed to be like a mandatory day one patch.
Yeah.
But that can happen.
100%. Oh, did anyone have any final ones to throw in?
I had one that was, I wonder how many devs make porn with their character models.
It's good.
Because there's some pretty like high fidelity character models out there of some good looking guys and gals. So they must just be making them, on their home PCs.
I think there's a secret cabal of Overwatch devs out there just fucking raking it in. Yeah.
I got one very quick one. Who's the G-Man?
Who is the G-Man?
Who's the G-Man?
And where is his spot?
I think he's Gordon Freeman. I think he's the Gordon Freeman, the G-Man.
The G-Man from the future?
I just made that up.
It's not a bad theory.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
That's my last one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything because I've actually... I was going to say real quick, I have actually watched all of Half-Life get played. So I can't say anything about that now.
And also, why did Capcom abandon Mega Man?
Because Capcom sucks.
Why did that happen? That's what I want to know.
That's something to do with the Keiji Inafune, the Mega Man creator, being a really bad businessman, apparently. Like, I've heard people talk about how like he mishandled that franchise badly and then got unceremoniously kicked out of Capcom. But
and then he made a better game called Mighty Number. Oh,
yeah. But didn't Capcom sort of make the Mega Man 11? That was Capcom.
but look at the gap between like the year. Never mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah, they came good in the end. Is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Too little, too late.
Yeah. It's fair. I don't know. I think that there's probably some argument there in terms of the genre having moved on a little bit, much like we don't see a lot of RTSs anymore. Sort of thing.
They could have evolved. We could have like a Mega Man Mass Effect by now. Mega Man Effect. I don't know.
Mega Man Effect.
God of Mega Man.
I think just Man Effect is probably
Man.
Mega Man 2016.
Mega Man of War. Yeah. Who knows?
My last quick one I had was I'd love to know how shitty of a person Randy Pitchford really is.
I think that's no mystery. I think that's pretty clear.
But like what we hear about is like him taking secret $12 million bonuses, stealing art, physically assaulting people, leaving like USBs with questionable porn lying around, like lying in marketing, like doing all sorts of dodgy shit. That's what we hear about, though. So if we could like lift the veil, I wonder what other dodgy shit Randy Pitchford gets up to.
I think that's like seeing an old hooker's legs and, you know, the rashes that are extending down past the point of the panties. You don't want to lift up to see what else is under there.
Gross. It's like, for me, it's like the head of Scientology, David Miscavige.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
How much of a terrible person is that guy? Like,
yeah, he got some skeletons in his closet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Some mysteries are perhaps best left covered up. Maybe we don't need to know. All right. Well, anyway, that's a show. So, good discussion, guys. I think there were some mysteries that maybe got slightly solved there. We did our best anyway. I feel like we got somewhere. Yeah,
we tried.
That's it. We'll no doubt have a fresh batch we can generate for another time in the future.
That wasn't that we tried and we succeeded. That was that we tried.
we tried.
Oh, look,
I'm very trying.
Collectively, I think we're able to sort of talk our way through quite a few of those and come up with some good answers. Whether they're true or not, who knows? So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the audience has enjoyed that as well. If you have any differing theories on stuff we've discussed tonight, if you think we've got it wrong.
What are your mysteries?
Yeah, or that
too.
too.
Your secrets.
Yeah.
Tell us your secrets.
In fact,
we like your secrets.
If people send us in enough of these sort of mysteries that you want solved, we could easily do another segment of these at some point in the future. So send them in, and we'll add them to a list to be explored at some date in the future, perhaps.
Let's find out which developers are Reptoid people.
Yes.
There's got to be a couple of them.
Yeah. Send them in, mail@partyloaded.com.
Matt.
Tweet them to us on Twitter @partyloadedshow or Facebook, just partyloaded on Facebook. And if you forget those links, they're all on our main hub at channelendgame.com as well. You can get to everything through there. So yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake having broken its date. Like, I know we discussed this a little early on, but is anyone planning on picking that up this week, or are you happy to wait?
I'm happy to wait.
Happy to wait? Yeah. Could be a thing. Not sure. Adrian just doesn't care. He's either extremely excited or doesn't care. Yeah. We've got plenty of other things to keep our attention in the next few weeks at least, I think, so that is good. But let's get back to it. Let's do some games. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks, gents. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Christian. We'll be back again next week. Good night.
Bye, gang.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.